This is a look at statistics in Excel. And so what I have here is, this is my single input data set. So that example from class where we were measuring a 400 millimeter bar and trying to figure out, mean, standard error of the mean, that sort of thing. This would have been my hand calculations, right? I calculated the sum of my data. I divided by the number of data points. So there's my average or mean. And deviation is the distance from measured value to mean. And then deviation squared, I simply square the deviation column. And then here we go. I can add them all up. I can divide by the number of data points. So this is my sample variance. I can divide by n minus 1. This is my population variance. And then the square root gives me my standard deviation. So using this data set right here, we can compare it to Excel's built-in statistical analysis. So the median would have been the center value of all of these data points. That's value number 6 here, so that's 408. And to get the median in Excel, I simply type median, open paren, the range, close paren. The average is what we call the statistical mean. So that the command for that is average. And so I've put the commands over here to help. What is not always intuitive is whether or not Excel wants to use a sample or a population standard deviation. And I guess I should have shown that you can also do the variance, but these are all considered sample in Excel. But you'll notice it matches what we consider a population standard deviation. So if we can explain that, Excel is saying, if I assume you've given me the entire data set, I'll treat that as, if I assume you've given me a sample of the entire data set, I'm going to treat this as you want the standard deviation for the whole data set. So it's called sample, but it's providing population. And that matches what you'll find in statistics texts or in our textbook on measurements. So this is actually the population standard deviation. And perhaps the easiest way to do this is just to use the command stdev, standard deviation. And that is the population standard deviation. So you'll notice that there's stdevp is smaller. So this is the sample. When we're estimating standard error of the mean, it's always better to choose the population standard deviation. There won't be a big difference if you've taken a big enough sample, and if you've taken too small of a sample, this is the more conservative estimate of your error. So probably the two most commonly used statistical properties in Excel are average and standard deviation. So that would be how you find those two values in Excel. I'm going to pause the video here and look at calibration in the next video so it's not too large. So tune in for the next video about calibration.